Now, former President Jacob Zuma is taking his fight to remove prosecutor Billy Downer in the arms deal corruption trial to the Constitutional Court. He has filed an application to the Apex Court asking it to overturn the Supreme Court of Appeal judge. The SCA has dismissed Jacob Zuma's special plea to have advocate Billy Downer removed as the lead prosecutor in his corruption trial. According to the former president, Downer has a history of unethical behavior in the arms deal matter. He also claims that Downer falls short of the National Prosecuting Authority's requirements for him to act without fear or favor. Zuma's application to the Concourt comes a few days before he's due back in the Pietermaritzburg High Court on Monday for the resumption of the trial. Now, spokesperson for the Jacob Zuma Foundation, Mpumelelo says the trial is unlikely to proceed following today's application in the Constitutional Court. For more on this, we're joined on the line by Mpumelelo Zikalala, a legal analyst. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, a lot happening all at one go, I suppose. Just this week, we saw former President Jacob Zuma as a free man walking into the Pietermaritzburg High Court after instituting a private prosecution on journalist Karen Moore and state advocate Billy Downer, in which Zuma claims that Moore colluded with the state to publish his medical records without permission. And now this. What is your analysis of what's going on?
Basically, the former president and his legal team are saying, please extend the charge to prosecute definition. From the SCA side, the SCA simply said it's only a charge to prosecute in terms of documents. However, the Concourt has never presided or pronounced on the matter. So it's a perfect opportunity for the Concourt to come to a decision and make precedent on the matter and then say, if it supports a former president, let's look at the conduct of the prosecutor. The code of conduct for the prosecution authority would not have been created if it was not supposed to be sort of adhered to. So this is the perfect opportunity of saying, let's look at the conduct of the prosecutor while they are prosecuting certain matters. Yes, we are well aware that they are biased towards the state in this particular matter and would want to prove their case come hell or high waters. But at the end of the day, this is an exceptional case and it must be treated as such. I think that would be the argument of the former president, while Advocate Billy Downer and his team will then say, or the NPA will then say, the definition by the SCA is perfectly fine. Stick to the administrative compliance purposes and only end it there, because there are other avenues in which one can then apply to when you feel that the prosecutor has not conducted himself in a good manner. For example, laying a complaint with the National Director of Public Prosecution and other matters. But that would fall short in terms of the effectiveness of that particular complaint and the stopping of that particular prosecutor from moving on. So it's going to be quite interesting as to what the Constitutional Court is going to arrive and decide pertaining to this matter.
What are the likelihoods, especially looking at the long history and what was ruled before?
I think if the events of last week did not take place, meaning there's no hardcore evidence which is there, or prima facie evidence which is there to prove that there has been interference by the prosecutor, in this case, Advocate Billy Downer, that has gone beyond what a reasonable prosecutor could have done or could have provided in terms of serving or doing his job. The Jacob Zuma Foundation, Mr. Jacob Zuma may come back and say, can I please supplement my papers? I want to add on the events that have taken place in order to emphasize or highlight my cause of complaint in terms of saying, you are not dealing with a normal prosecutor in this particular case. You are dealing with someone who has a personal vendetta against me. It is not only that he wants to do his job in terms of being a prosecutor. He wants to go beyond that. Let's look at the extent in which he has been involved in this particular matter and all the other factors that he has participated in. Now, it would up to the court as to say, do they want to adopt a narrow definition or narrow meaning of the charge to prosecute? If it's narrow, it's only limited to the documentation in it and there. Or do they want to extend it and say, let's look at the wider definition? That wider definition being taken into account in the context of a free and fair trial, in line with what Section 35 of the Constitution then says.
So should he manage to convince the court that Downer lacks the title to prosecute him, what would that then mean going forward, especially also looking at the two cases running concurrently?
The case which is going back on Monday, it would mean that Advocate Billy Downer is not going to be the lead prosecutor in that matter, and then someone else would have to come in. But it does not take away Advocate Billy Downer from participating in the matter and being sort of the legal mind be beyond him not being able to appear in front of the court. So he must still be in the background, be able to provide that critical information sort of guidance as to the legal strategy that he has adopted. The reason why the NPA would want to keep Advocate Billy down, my assumption is that, let's remember, is the same person that prosecuted or successfully prosecuted Mr. Shabarif. This particular matter is closely linked to that one. So the institutional memory that he has and the knowledge that he has and the strategy which was utilized earlier, the NPA is of the opinion that it can be used again and it can guarantee them success when they need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the former president is guilty as alleged. So it would mean that if the court finds in favor of the former president, he would have to be removed and another person would have to come in. However, if they don't, then Advocate Billy Downer will continue to prosecute this particular matter.
Very well. Thank you so much for that brief breakdown. Mpumelelo Zikalala, law analyst, giving us some insight and depth around this matter.